Alright, something here inside cannot be denied. When your heart's on fire, you must realize red smoke gets in your eyes. Look outside the window, the day slowly starts. It's gonna be a great morning in Germany, which means it's gonna be a sensational night in America. Wherever you are on this fabulous Christmas day, welcome to Red Smoke. Alex, if we go with the American time zone, we are going with the American time zone. It is still the night before Christmas, and everybody who's listening, if you are glamorous and brave enough to tune in at this spooky hour, you got our respect. I don't know, the night before Christmas always sounds so spooky to me. Alex, do you, in anticipation of Santa's arrival, enjoy the appropriate drinks on this fabulous morning? You know, some good old eggnog maybe? You know, the eggnog, the Eierpunsch in German?
The Eierpunsch. Yeah, no, I don't actually. I don't like this too much. I'm more like the whiskey guy, and that's really not the time right now, I think. But maybe for some it is.
Well, why is it not the time right now? I had a special like Christmas liquor, and I would describe it a little bit further, but by God, I don't know. I don't know what's in it. Like in English, I cannot translate the ingredients. How familiar are you with this weird German tradition? I believe if I translate this right, it is called the Holy Morning. You know, where everybody meets at the 24th of December at like 9 or 10 in the morning. They all meet in the city, and they have some alcohol so they can stand their family later.
Some alcohol, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, actually, I'm very familiar with that, to be honest.
Mm-hmm.
In my, let's call it past life, I did this quite often, actually. And usually that didn't end too well, to be honest. But it's not really to stand the family. I know that's the like tradition or the reasoning people have.
Yeah.
But I really just enjoyed meeting with people in the morning.
Mm-hmm.
And everyone was having a good mood, you know, because it was Christmas.
Right.
And there was no work or no political issues or anything, just people meeting up and obviously drinking a lot, but still. It was nice just to meet people like they truly are, you know, relaxed and open. That was quite nice.
Yeah,
even though it usually ended up with too much alcohol, and then you had to sleep 2-3 hours again before you actually met with the family, and maybe you felt nice, maybe not. It depended a lot.
Yeah, I mean, Christmas is a special time here in Germany. I mean, if people here in Germany wish you a Merry Christmas, 5% of them actually mean it, man. I don't know. I'm the kind of person who always stumbles over these kind of traditions where I ask myself, okay, since when is this a thing? I don't know, man. I'm a stranger in my own country.
Oh, I know that feel, because I really don't know when this, for example, the Holy Morning, when this all started. It was a thing when I was growing up, and I was legal age to drink alcohol. Then it immediately happened. But I don't know when this really came to be over here. No idea.
Alex, have you already watched Die Hard?
I didn't actually.
Oh.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I have watched it obviously, but not recently.
Are you gonna watch it, or are you gonna skip it this year?
No, I am gonna watch it.
All right.
For sure.
All right. Well, then you're a little bit too late, man.
Yeah.
No, not if we go with the American time zone. Man, I was watching the movie a little bit early, actually. I was watching it like 2 or 3 weeks ago, and I know there was one thing that really struck me. I really miss smoking indoors.
Oh yeah.
Oh man, they're like they're smoking everywhere in this fucking movie. They smoke everywhere, and especially in the second movie, he's like smoking at the airport. And then I think, man, this movie is old.
It is, yes. Yeah, it's funny because when this was still a thing, really, to smoke indoors, I never actually smoked cigarettes. I immediately jumped into the cigars, and yeah, at that point I didn't really smoke that much, so I couldn't actually really enjoy it that much as I would do it right now. quite weird. But I would love to smoke indoors or more.
Yeah,
Because
it's not. Yeah, it's not really about. I'm not really picturing myself smoking. It's just like it's a certain atmosphere, like when you're sitting in a cafe or like for example at an airport and all around you are people and they're like smoking. It's really relaxed state. I kind of miss it. It's like I lost a little bit of my freedom there.
Yeah, absolutely. And I don't know. I mean, I guess they did it for health reasons, but
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, you know, rather stuff some shitty processed food in your mouth.
Sure.
No, I mean it's yeah. I get the point where they did it, and obviously, some places smell better now, you could say. But personally, I had this talk yesterday. Was it yesterday? Yeah, I think. I was actually talking to someone, and he said that cigar or pipe smoke actually smells quite nice, even if you're not smoking yourself. Cigarettes,
yeah.
well, it depends a lot, but with cigars, and you know, just sitting there, even if other people are smoking, not you yourself, it's still nice touch.
Yeah, I've been in to apartments where people smoke like pipe, like a real pipe, not a hookah or shisha.
Yeah.
I think it's you know it's subjective. You know, I mean, some people will probably say, "Oh my god, I get a headache from it. It smells terrible," and some people are like, "No, it's actually smooth." Yeah.
You know what's funny? There is a cinema around here where back in the day smoking was actually allowed in the cinema.
Oh my god, I would have killed for that.
It was quite funny though if you were sitting in the back ranks and all these puffs of smoke were
Shit.
rising into the movie. But it was quite funny.
Oh man, I think I would. Yeah. For that case, we would need a cigar, not a cigarette.
Obviously.
I think I'm referencing Cape Fear with Robert De Niro.
Yeah.
I don't know if you can recall, but that's absolutely.
Yes, I do.
Alex, I got a problem, man. Look, do you remember last week we did the stream and I mentioned Miles Davis in the beginning when I was trying to explain the stream, and I was telling a quote from him, and he said, "I'll play it first and I'll tell you what it is later," right? So to explain what we are doing here with this stream. And I thought this was a good idea. Look, someone reached out to me, man. Yeah, someone reached out and said, "Look, I know an even better quote from Miles Davis to fit for your show." I was like, "Okay, hit me." And he said, "If you don't know what to play, play nothing at all."
Damn.
Yeah, that's a real. That's the danger of the internet, man. I'm never gonna quote Miles Davis again. I'm done. Absolutely.
Yeah, well.
All right. Yeah.
But the initial goal was good, though. I think
I
you
hope
were
so.
right with that.
I hope so. Yeah.
I
It's
mean,
same with today. I don't know where this whole thing is going, and I like it. You know?
exactly. That's the beauty of like nature, really, and trying things.
Right.
Just going somewhere and then seeing what's happening.
Absolutely.
Yeah, this guy. I mean, probably he didn't even mean that bad. He's just trying to be.
No.
funny.
It was obviously a joke, but
Yeah.
kind of a roast as well. So yeah, but it's Christmas, so that's okay. Alex, before we start with the topic of the week, let me just do a short disclaimer because this is going to be our last show in 2020, obviously, because next week is, of course, New Year's Eve, and we're not going to do a show on New Year's Eve. So upcoming amongst many other things, we are going to talk about, for example, Madman in 2021. We're going to do an in-depth analysis and discussion about this series. We're going to talk about Scarface, we're going to talk about Fight Club, the Dark Knight trilogy, where we're going to go very in-depth and talk about what it really means to be a hero. Of course, we're going to talk about The Godfather as well. Many more video essays to come, and the first prominent guests will soon appear as well. All that in 2021. Stay tuned for more information. Go on Alex's Twitter channel or mine, or on the official @RedSmoke podcast on Twitter, where we will keep you updated. It's Red Smoke, live from Berlin. Alex, I really look forward to cover Madman.
Oh
Like really. We probably won't be able to like rewatch the whole thing a week before that. There's no damn
Yeah,
chance in hell. Have you like watched it from start to finish?
Oh God, I've actually watched it twice, but not the whole thing the second time. I think. Actually, a good question. I can't quite recall. Maybe they added um, episodes or seasons I'm not familiar with. But I watched like most of it, I think.
And now that I think of it, I actually used to binge whole series. Is it an English? I used to binge more than one series,
Yeah.
and damn man, there was a lot of garbage. I don't know. Were you that kind of? Have you watched a lot? I mean, obviously you don't now, but back in the days.
Yeah, I have, but it wasn't actually these kind of weird TV shows or shows rather. Um, was mostly the common things, you know, like Game of Thrones and Breaking Bad and all of that, and nothing like these crazy things people watch, which have like 20 seasons or something, and
Yeah.
nothing really happens, and I'm like, why are you watching? I mean, it's gotta be something, but I know why. It's obviously to escape reality, but
Yes.
yeah, as you know, obviously, because we know each other quite well already, I'm not into these kind of shows that have no depth, no grit.
Right.
I need something that challenges me and that has some meaning in it. Yeah.
Yeah, I really look back and I regret it. I regret it because I spent so much time on a lot of bullshit. I mean,
Oh, yes.
I gained some value from some TV shows or from some movies, but I had to go through a lot of garbage, and I would say like 80 or 90% of everything I ever saw in my life was complete garbage. I mean, I remember I was like 2014 or 15, where I watched the whole the Doctor House series. You know, or I believe in America they call it House MD. I'm like,
Yes.
man, I watched this whole series and I don't even know why. There was like 1, 2 good episodes and like 9 seasons. I think, oh, that's such a waste of time. Man.
But that's quite funny you should mention it because I watched it as well, the whole show actually. Um, Even though pretty much every episode was the same, I really liked the
Right.
host character.
Yeah, me too. That's the reason why I didn't stop watching. But
Yeah,
you know,
exactly.
it's like 9 seasons.
Yes, but if you think about it, the episodes itself are really always the same. Like literally, there's some
Yeah, you have
very
the case of the week or some kind like
yes,
that. Yeah.
some difficult case nobody can obviously solve except for House,
Hmm.
which he then randomly through some random interaction gets the idea what it could be, and then that's it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean it's a classic like emergency room and Meredith Grey bullshit, but I really like the character. That's quite funny. He's the kind of he's a interesting character because um, yes he really doesn't care about people on the surface. I mean, it seems like, and he's the kind of asshole. But it only seems like that. He really does care about people, but it's not something he can express very well. But I think it was quite an interesting character to watch.
Absolutely. I feel myself very drawn to people who are like perfectionists, and I believe that's what drew me to House MD. But yeah, I wouldn't watch it a second time, and
No,
I don't think I would watch a whole series ever again. Like with like 7, 8 seasons. Probably if there would be any series, it would be Mad Men. But yeah, it's weird.
yeah, it is. I mean, yeah, another series I actually enjoyed was The Blacklist. I don't know if you know that.
Yes, but I never watched it.
Okay, because it's pretty much the same. Well, meta setup as House. It's not like with a hospital and all of that. It's he's the what's it called? Well, he's a bad guy, the main character, pretty much. But he helps the FBI to find other baddies, like real bad people. So he's pretty much while he is still not working on the ethical side of society, if you want to call it that, he's trying to get the really bad guys.
Yeah.
And this guy, he's not only dressed fantastically well all the time, you know, with a traditional hat and with a suit and all of that. He's also just very cool person to watch. That's what I really enjoyed there. That's funny. You should already notice that I watch these things and I always have a deep look into what the characters like, especially the male characters, because that's very interesting to me how they set them up.
You mean like the outfits and stuff?
Yeah, not just outfits, but also the characteristics of the person or the character, rather. How they act, what they do, and that's something I'm always drawn to in movies and shows as well. I don't really care much about the plot most of the time. It's really just the characters and the interactions between them.
I mean the dialogue, I believe, as well.
Yes. Yeah.
I know, like literally from Mad Men, I copied so much dialogue into the real life. There's so many situations where I was like, man, I could say the same thing like Don Draper now, and I did, and I didn't do it as well as Don, but I tried.
Yeah. So you're misogynist, obviously, right?
Obviously, yeah. Sexist, misogynist, you name it.
Yeah.
Which leads us to the topic of the week. That was a smooth transition, man.
Yeah, wasn't it?
Alex, what is like your first impulse when you hear the two magic words "strong women"? What is the first thing that comes to your mind?
First word would probably be misguidance, because the funny thing is actually, I do like strong women, obviously, but I have a completely different understanding of what a strong woman is compared to society, or like the leftist woke crew. Let's call them that.
What do you think? What do you think? Does the left see as a strong woman, or let's do a little bit more broad? What does society believe is a strong woman?
Pretty much an independent woman, I would say. A woman that can do everything on her own. She doesn't need anyone really, not her parents, husband, kids. She just can be herself. And she has all the freedom she would ever need, and everything she wants to do, she can do, which is also the sexual liberation, which is a completely different topic, but still. And yeah, so pretty much, to me, it always feels like they're trying to remove all restrictions for women, which have been established over more decades, really, or like millennia. And the funny thing is, obviously, the first second you would think, yeah, of course you want to remove restrictions for people because then they can be free. But in this regard, it's not very helpful because, it's, how do I put this? It helps them not really to achieve what they want. Because recently, I actually saw, again, for the 50,000th time, I don't know, a woman, I think she was 50, and she said she really regretted not having kids. And that's what you see so many times. Because women are told, you should find a proper job, so you don't need a man, and you can be on your own feet and all of that. And the issue is you cannot, I said this before, but you cannot have a proper family and a high-paying job at the same time. It just doesn't work. You have to sacrifice one of the two at some point, because both need most of your daily time. So you have to choose. And these women, they work all their life trying to be, I don't know, independent, or just show men that they can do it themselves. I don't know. And then they end up miserable. But I butchered that word there. And that's really something that has been told women from society, and that's what they, I think, deem as a strong woman. A woman that is completely on her own feet, and they really don't like never talk about the repercussions of this, which come very late in your life when it's too late. And biology told her that it's over. And yeah, I think that's really bad for women, and some of them are noticing it late in their life. Some notice it earlier,
Mm.
but yeah, it's really bad, I think.
Yeah, I don't know if movies are to blame. I don't know which if this is a one-way street or not. You know, like maybe movies inspired women to be this way, or maybe the society or the political agendas inspired the movies to be this way. I don't know what I
I
realized.
guess it's both.
Yes, it's and you know, there is a flip side to the coin. Men, on the other hand, in movies, and not just in movies, but okay, let's keep it simple, they have become bumbling idiots, like incompetent, impotent, like clowns.
Yeah.
Really, it's yeah.
Yeah, if you look back to older movies or shows, doesn't really matter. Mad Men is a prime example. Always, I mean, it's not even an old show really, but it's set up in a past time really. And if you compare it to modern day movies and how men are portrayed there, for example, in all the Marvel movies,
Yeah,
I'm like, I don't know if we shit on Marvel last episode. I can't quite recall, but doesn't really matter.
yeah,
The point is, what I hate there is the ruining of the hero image, because that's really what every man should build for himself, his own hero journey. That's pretty much a man's life, or should be rather. And in these movies, these heroes are so weird, you know, and they always just make fun of themselves. They're not really serious about what they have to do most of the time, and what they should be doing. And they do what they're told from women sometimes, and it's all just really weird. I don't know.
yeah. That's why uh, you know, some people. I mean, I would say you are too old to watch superhero movies, right? But I wouldn't say that's the case for example, the Dark Knight trilogy, which is an exception, in my
Oh, yes.
opinion. It's a fucking brilliant trilogy, and I believe we will have this stream soon on this. I mean, I have watched like the first movie, the Batman Begins. I believe I was 13 or 14 back in the days, and my oh my. But it was the ending of the last movie, the Dark Knight Rises movie. And after this movie finished, I was sitting there and I was watching the credits, the credits roll, and I thought to myself, I wasn't older than like 18 or 19. And I was like thinking to myself, what am I doing with my life? This movie inspired me so much, and yeah, I wouldn't, like I said, I wouldn't say that movies about superheroes are something for boys over the age of 14. But really, the Dark Knight trilogy is an exception. I believe there is a necessity for real heroes, and I'm really not talking about the soulless cash grab that is Marvel.
Yeah. No, I agree. And the funny thing is, actually, if you look back at the comics, the Marvel comics, there was a whole different theme, obviously, than the movies really came up with.
A more serious
though-
tone as well.
Yes, exactly. They
Yeah.
were much more serious about, like, they had philosophical questions and societal questions in there, like things these heroes had to battle in everyday society and all of that. And you know, I don't know if remember, I've watched Infinity War. I think that's the movie, that 3 hour thingy. And not only was it, in my opinion, a really bad movie in the case that everything was just really crammed into that thing,
I agree.
because there was really no time to breathe.
Yeah, the pacing was insane. Reminded me of the new Star Wars movies. It's total garbage.
Yeah, if you think about it, all the stories they tried to cram into this one movie, this could have, I don't know, made 5 other movies
Yeah.
if you really put the time and effort into it. But anyway, and yeah, obviously, I mean, with Thor, they had the dad bod jokes, you know, that he got
Yeah.
fat, and it's and Hulk was now the geeky guy, and You hear my sigh there, right?
Yes.
Because I don't know. I'm just annoyed at these things because they're always trying to make fun of the hero image. And again, it's a very important part for man to create your own hero story, which is exactly what Batman Begins did, which I can, where I can relate heavily to what you said earlier.
Mm.
And the first time I saw it, I was thinking similarly. I was thinking, yeah, that is fantastic, and I really enjoyed it and thought, yeah, where am I doing the same with my life? Like not the same, obviously, but where am I looking at my life and are not really trying to be the best that
Right.
it could be? And that is exactly where I think these hero movies are really. I mean, these days, obviously, there is an agenda, or an agenda rather.
Yes. Yes.
Obviously, I mean, the force is female, right? Things like that. I know I'm skipping ahead here, but still, I had to mention that. And
Yet
yeah,
the reason you cannot see the brave character of Ray is because of your own toxic masculinity and internalized
yes,
misogyny. It's not my fault.
yes, yes. Not to mention she has no character at all. But
Yeah.
again, I mean,
Yeah, but look, I think many boys nowadays, I'm absolutely sure about that. They don't have like a strong male role model to look up to, like maybe single mother household or a weak father. And I 100% believe that. That's why movies like, for example, the Dark Knight trilogy are so important. Some
yes,
people might think I exaggerate here, but like especially for kids who hit puberty, especially in that age, we need someone to look up to. It's completely normal, and hell, it would be better. This trilogy you should watch then. Like they dealing with this complex moral issues, making tough decisions, showing you to never give up, and all that from a man who is an orphan, whom life has spit in his face. Now this is the movie to go to, right? If you don't have anybody to look up to, look up to this. That's why I will
yes,
always
exactly.
pledge for the necessity of like good movies.
It's actually my personal story because I don't know if people know this, but I've never actually met my real father.
Mm.
And as we said last time, there are no real male role models in growing up in
Mm.
society these days. Most of your teachers are female and all of that.
Yeah.
So actually, the most masculine figures I got, which I could look up to, was from these kind of movies.
Yeah.
And I'm glad I grew up in that time where there was still actually real men in the movies, which is, I guess, the reason why I am still who I am today. And yeah, I think it was actually funny because I watched a lot of Star Wars back
Mm.
then as a kid, obviously, because yeah, lightsabers. And but the funny thing is, despite from all the craziness these movies have, obviously, what I really always enjoyed was the mentorship that came with the master and the Padawan, like
Mm-hmm.
because he got someone he was going to train as a Jedi, and this was sort of always like a father and son relationship in
Yes.
some degree, or a mentor relationship, whatever. And this always, I always liked this a lot. These scenes where he's teaching him and like how to deal with situations with people, how to use his own power, which is a very important thing for any man.
Mm.
How to control your emotions, how to use them, which is pretty much what the Force is, I think. And yeah, things like that. And this severely missing in modern day movies.
Yeah.
Nobody, or like the kids are not really told what's important there as a man, and that's the issue here, I think.
Yeah, it became some like wrong-headed notion in Hollywood that role models or like heroes, they have to be like flawless. Instead of
Yeah.
like empathizing with a character
Oh yes.
that gets in over their heads and slowly rises up to become something great. We have characters like Ray, who are just great from the beginning and like constantly praised by those around them for, I don't know, facing some off-screen adversity. And it feels patronizing because it's basically, the writers tell you to love the characters instead of putting in the effort to make you love them. But I don't like I like it in movies when a character, like male or female, it doesn't matter, has to overcome a certain struggle. You know, and
Yes, absolutely.
I'm not only talking about movies. I clearly have no respect from a man in real life who was, for example, born into a rich family and grew up with all the privileges. He never had to work for. I mean, we have to briefly talk about Tate, Andrew Tate, the kickboxer, who is the prime example, like the modern James Bond, who basically made it from rags to riches, right? Single mom household, now self-made multimillionaire.
Yes.
Yeah, that's and yeah.
Yeah,
When I,
he has a fantastic come up story, really. And yeah, I mean, that's a great thing you mentioned there. I'm gonna go back to this for a second.
mm,
When you said that the movie writers don't really give you time to learn to love the character because it's just told to love them.
yeah,
Yeah, and that's really an important part here because this perfectionism is really an issue because people just aren't perfect. That's a very important lesson.
mhm.
Nobody is. There are anyone has flaws or something that.
Except women.
Yeah, that's what I was getting at because this is the notion that is being pushed here.
Yeah,
Because most of these female characters they are just flawless in every regard. They can do everything a man can, but they don't have the toxic masculine drawbacks, obviously.
right.
And I don't know whatever else they can do. Everything really.
Mm.
This is an issue you see with women growing up these days as well, because then they think they can do everything and there are no repercussions, which is also why that's an interesting topic. Where you see these videos, where women really like slap their boyfriends and there's nothing coming back.
Oh,
Now, I'm obviously not
I
saying you should hit your woman, but
I would
I
say
mean,
you shouldn't watch those videos.
yeah, that's a good idea.
Yeah, yeah,
Uh,
sure.
yeah, but this really comes from that
Mm.
they are told they can do everything and there's nothing they can do wrong because they are perfect in how they are. So they don't not even have respect for other people and especially not their boyfriends and all of that. They also, I think, it's bad for your life as a whole because life always throws shit at you.
Hmm.
Something inevitably happens at some point, and then you cannot deal with it because you never were trained in adversity, right? And while this is more important for men, obviously, it's still important for women.
Yeah,
They have to learn this as well.
you know what I just realized? It really. I'm sorry if I'm interrupting you, but I have to say
Go
this.
ahead.
It really contradicts the. You remember the lesson we heard in Batman Begins? It's the Katie Holmes character, Rachel, says this to Batman. It doesn't matter who you are. I'm just paraphrasing. It's what you do that defines you, right?
Yes.
And that's like the complete opposite because nowadays it doesn't matter what you do. It matters who you choose to be.
Yes.
Like it literally we for legal reasons I was in the cinema but I wasn't. At the end of like the Star Wars Episode 9, you have like literally Rey just identifies with the name Skywalker. She didn't earn it or
Oh,
anything.
really?
Yeah, and she just had this this idea. Okay, I'm now identifying with this name. This is like the complete. I mean, what is the value in this?
It's funny you use the word identify there because
Yeah.
that is what people do these days, right?
Oh
They
yeah.
just identify with another gender and then they have all the benefits of it.
Mhm.
I mean, yeah, but a whole different rabbit hole we can go down. But yeah, I didn't actually watch the latest Star Wars.
Oh, you
Uh,
have to. It's really entertaining. Like if you watch it with a certain,
yeah,
you know,
I was trying to boycott this whole thing, but I guess it might be funny,
yeah,
at least in
good.
some regard.
Yeah. Do yourself a favor this Christmas. Come on.
Yeah, maybe I will. Yeah, you see, but from the beginning, I didn't like that Rey character. And not because she was a woman, because people tell me that all the time. Obviously, because I'm a misogynist, so
Yeah.
it's just because the lead is a female, and that's obviously, yeah, that's why I don't like it. No, it's because she doesn't have any characteristic that make her interesting. Like nothing.
Exactly. When I
There's nothing, yeah, in this person that's really interesting at all. We don't even know how she came to be, like her growing up. They just said, yeah, she has this power now, or she
yeah
has these powers. We don't know where it comes from. Nothing. She's just powerful, and that's it. And it's so boring.
Yeah, when I think of Rey, she also has nothing to develop on a human level. I mean,
Yeah.
I watched all those three movies because I hate myself, obviously. So what I figured out, I mean, she is tough and confident and self-reliant and also intelligent, and she's also kind and also altruistic and also compassionate. She's like the best human ever. She's like literally space Jesus, which a little bit contradicts to her past, because there was a great chance to make an interesting character. Like compare her to Bruce Wayne again from the Dark Knight trilogy. She's also kind of like an orphan. Make her a little bit interesting.
Yes,
It's,
there were many opportunities to make her a great character. I mean, she came from Tatooine, just like Anakin, right? So there could have been a connection at some way.
some
or
some
some way
kind
or
of desert planet, but yeah, who the fuck cares?
yeah.
Yeah.
But there could have been so. I mean, just talking about this for 2 minutes, we already have much better ideas than what they come up with.
Right.
Or well, they didn't come up with anything. So yeah.
Yeah, I have never seen a J.J. Abrams movie that didn't want to make me claw my ears off my fucking skull. Swearing. Sorry, everybody, because we are from Germany, we don't possess anything resembling a soul. There's a funny game I always like to play. What is her motivation? And it's very easy to do. You of course are familiar with Die Hard, right? The movie. So you have the bad guy who is Hans Gruber, and I always play this game. What would happen if character X would negotiate with Gruber? And for example, if I think of Bruce Wayne, I instinctively know how he would deal with Gruber. Like, he's a very altruistic person. He would like die before anybody else dies.
Yeah.
He's like I know exactly how Bruce would deal with him. And now I think about what would happen if Rey would negotiate with Gruber, and I have no idea.
I guess nothing.
Yeah, I don't know.
I don't think there would be happening much. Really.
I mean,
it's
I understand that look, from a filmmaking standpoint, to do a franchise this big that wants to appeal to the largest audience possible, your main character should be a so-called everyman or every woman in that case, someone everyone should be able to identify with. Just like Frodo Baggins from Lord of the Rings, who's like a very basic character, nothing really special, but you shouldn't be a blank page.
Yes, but still, even Frodo, he had obviously issues. I mean, he was pretty small.
Yeah.
And like not very confident.
And body hair everywhere.
Yes, and if you compare it to Rey again, she doesn't have any of this. She's just perfect.
Right.
And it's funny you used Space Jesus before, because I think that is exactly what has been put into people's minds, that women are sort of like goddesses to some degree, and at least in the past years this has happened a lot, and that is really the issue I think most men actually have then, if they grow up and see the female as perfect and as a goddess, because they really aren't, because they're human and any human has flaws, man or woman. And but if you grow up with that understanding of them, that's really hurting your growing up and your relationships with any of them, really. And even for the women themselves, that's even worse. If they think of themselves as gods, well,
yeah.
I mean, how's that gonna help your development of your flaws?
Yeah.
Like, I mean, yeah. But still, J.J. Abrams. I mean, you don't like lens flares? I don't know.
I don't like anything about this person. He's so devoid of talent. Man, I don't want to talk about him because something awful is gonna happen. There's actually a clip from George Lucas which I wanted to play on this podcast, but unfortunately there is the soundtrack from Star Wars in the background, so I'm a little bit afraid of the copyright. But I've written it down, just like 2 sentences, and he said something really good if we like compare Rey to Carrie Fisher's character from 1977 to Princess Leia, and George Lucas said, "I did not want to put boys' clothes on a woman," and I'm like, yes, yes. This new idea that women have to be portrayed as badass and masculine in order to be strong is such bullshit. I believe women can be portrayed as feminine and tough, and there's not a goddamn thing wrong with that.
Yes, that's a very important point here.
Hmm.
I've said this before because people always think that a submissive woman is like a doormat or something, and that's really what makes her weak.
Yeah.
And I always tell people, do you even understand how much willpower and mental capacity you need to submit yourself to someone?
Right.
It's not easy because, first of all, you have to choose your man properly, otherwise, he will just abuse you. And secondly, to give your whole life into his hand, that takes a lot of grit.
Hmm?
And that, I think, is what makes a strong woman. Not fighting your man with power games and all of that shit. That does nothing. And that is exactly where I love this quote as well from George Lucas. And because literally, like visually, women are being told to be men. If you think about it, how how many women these days walk around with like pants and work clothes that
Yeah.
men usually wore, and like a feminine dress is really something rare, which is so weird to me. And these whole things where women try to be something they are not by nature, because obviously, if you look at how men and women evolved, there are big differences,
Yeah.
and each gender has its own role given by nature. I don't know how they always come up with that was given by other men or by society. I don't know. Because if you look back how men and women operated for millennia or even longer, then you see exactly the roles they should have and the roles they enjoyed. It's not like women didn't like to be the caretaker. That's it, caretaker at home,
Yeah.
and that they didn't have any sort of power. It's always like, just because she is your submissive wife, if you want to use this term, it doesn't mean she cannot like speak to other people
Yeah.
or enjoy her life. That's really not the case, and that's where really bad painting is image is painted here for women and what they should be. And that's, yeah, I mean, with Star Wars, obviously, because they try to make, that's another thing I really hate there, because they really just try to make as much money as possible, obviously,
Yes.
because they had to make back those $4 billion they paid George Lucas. And the issue here is that it was all driven by money and not by art, because that's exactly, if you really care about the art and the meaning and what you are trying to portray with your movie, then you don't care if some people don't like it, as you said, because they try to make great as every man or woman. And that wouldn't be an issue if you just try to make a statement with your movie or try to say something. Then that doesn't matter if some people don't like your lead character, they just don't watch the movie, done. But if you try to appeal to literally everyone, then, I mean, you have this bland character. You have to have that bland character, because there's no other way to appeal to like the masses. But then this bland character doesn't really appeal. He just, or she just is there, and that's it.
Yeah, great guy George, man. Hustling around to make a sci-fi movie when no one believed in him. Oh
Yes.
man, it's
I mean, and he changed the whole movie scene for decades.
absolutely.
Yeah,
And
that's- yeah.
non-ironically, I agree, and I am inspired by many, lessons or like moral lessons given in this movies, in the old movies. There's actually there are very good lessons in there. Like they're hidden very carefully, but yeah, I'm thinking do or do not. There is no try. That's
Yes.
great. That's great. Absolutely. No.
Yeah, I've told that recently to some of the guys I coach,
Hmm.
because I've noticed a lot of people always say, Like if I give them tasks to be more to build their mindset and be more masculine, something they have to do, obviously. And then they always say, "Yeah, I'm trying to do it." And I said, "You have to eradicate this trying from your vocabulary. Either you do it or you don't.
Correct.
It's not like this trying immediately puts you in a mental state of maybe I won't do it. This immediately gives your mind a cop out, and that's not how you should operate in your life. Either you do it or not. There's no trying, and that's exactly what Yoda said, if I remember correctly.
Mhm.
And yeah, this it's just a few words, a small quote, really, but it has a big reach, and that's yeah, as you said, a lot of things in Star Wars actually are like that. If you really watch it with that in mind, and not just the lasers and the lightsabers. It's like the Matrix, really, where if you really just care about the fighting scenes and the cool effects instead of looking for the philosophy in there, then I mean it's a pretty crazy movie. But there are many lessons in there. Yes, I totally agree.
Yeah, I mean, what makes us go back to movies like The Matrix or, for example, the old Star Wars movies? I mean, it's not just like the action and the cool effects. There's a little bit more behind it, right?
Oh yes, absolutely. I mean, if you think about the most famous character, right, Darth Vader, and people always think he's just a bad guy, but he really isn't, because there's a huge lesson in there, in his character, really, how he came to be that person, because it's actually quite a modern day issue. So let me explain this. He was a boy growing up without a father. Hint, hint, and I mean, he had mentors from the Jedi, obviously, but he was already, I think, was he 8 or 10? I don't know. And where he grew up with his mother alone.
Something around that.
Yeah, I think something like that. And he was very powerful. That is something I come back to all the time. He has, as a man or as a boy, whatever, he has a lot of power within him. This drive to do things and this testosterone loaded energy, you know. But if it's misdirected, obviously, then it can be very dangerous for many people and even the whole universe in this case. And the reason he actually became Darth Vader is because he was drawn into these, because he was easily controlled by bad people. And if you were raised properly with proper virtues and honor and guidance from a man, really, he wouldn't have fallen prey to that. And that's just one thing. Also, the thing that he's trying to save his wife from dying. That's why he like goes into these whole like dark ways trying to save her, and in the end, she dies anyway. Oh, spoiler alert! And and so he can actually save her, but he's now lost in this dark life, and all of it really comes from resentment that he couldn't be who he wanted to be. Like he couldn't be the hero he wanted, and now he is trying to lash out at everyone else. And in the end, when he resolves the issue with Luke, you notice that actually there was a good guy in him all the time. And I see this with many men these days who are actually good guys underneath, but they tend to do stupid things because they hate the life they were born into and the life they were told was right, pretty much the dark side. And this life is not what they want to, not how they feel whole, and that is exactly what's building this resentment in them, and then they do things they don't like. And that's where I think these movies, I mean, this obviously stretches over like 7 movies or something, but still, that's his character has a very great story arc, and that's where we come back to Rey again, right? Because she has like not even closely resembling anything of what Anakin has.
Yeah, I mean, the writers of this movie probably were like, okay, let us pen a character with no flaws who ignores her critics and, like anyone attempting to hold her back. And, writers later are like, okay, let me go on social media to hype my belief in boogeyman victimizing me because of my sex, race, and beliefs. But there is a huge difference in between Rey and Anakin. like both of them are like by nature very powerful, or if you want to translate it into real life, they have talent, right? Some people
Yes.
are born with a high IQ or whatever, so you can like compare this to that. But I would really like to ask you because yeah, the question is, what does strong nowadays means? Never show a sign of weakness, never making bad decisions. You know, when I think of a strong woman, I'm thinking of Sarah Connor from the Terminator movies. I don't know
Oh
if you're
yes,
familiar with the movies. I mean,
I am. I
she
was just thinking about the singer for a second. I was
yeah.
confused.
No problem. Oh, I believe the American audience probably won't know her. I mean,
Yes.
she's a German singer, right?
Yeah, with the same name, so that
Yeah.
was where I was confused. Yeah.
And if I think about the Terminator, Sarah Connor, she is like traumatized and emotional, unstable, a terrible mother, quite frankly. She drinks and smokes. Uh, but what's interesting is how she overcomes this whole stuff. And I don't know, and it's really. I'm not thinking Sarah Connor, the vagina haver. I'm thinking Sarah Connor, the amazingly crafted character. I know
Oh
it's
yes, that was it was a great comparison. That was a great use of words there because that really is the thing these days, which is where I agree totally. That just because she has a vagina, she's already better than anyone else,
yeah.
except for other women, obviously. But and this, yeah,
Yeah, what I really
and
like about her, she's so normal in the beginning. I mean, in the first Terminator movie, it's just like a normal person. I mean, nowadays everyone has to be either badass or highly competent or evil or the comic relief. I don't know. No one can be normal anymore.
yes, I'm thinking about this. I think it was actually in Infinity War again, this Marvel movie,
Hmm.
the scene where all the female quote
Yeah,
unquote
that's
heroes.
so cringy, right?
Yeah, that was so cringe to watch. And I saw these. There was a video clip, a YouTube clip with audience reactions to the movie. Like someone was filming it in the cinema
Mm.
when it first released, and obviously people like watch. For some reason, they were all very loud in the cinema, but I don't know. They were all cheering when the heroes came up and all of that. And in that scene, all the women were like, "Yay!" and "Wow!" and all of that. And I was like, you see, that's really not. First of all, I thought, well, most men would be like, "Yeah, of course."
I believe most men nowadays would be like, yeah, to be
Yes,
honest. They
yes.
would go along.
You see, the issue I have with this is not that a bunch of women are on screen trying to be cool heroes. That's really not what bothers me. The issue is that what's portrayed with that, which is exactly where we get back to what you said. Because not only are they all dressed up like men and they act like men,
Mm.
even how they walk. So this very masculine, confident walk is really
Yes.
repulsing to me. I don't know, but maybe that's just my toxic masculinity. And but this notion that you as a woman you have to be a better man, really, that is the complete wronggoing we have in society. They sort of try to kill the role women have in life, always had, and which is what makes them great. Because here's a personal story, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because I had a son like 5 months ago. Yes, right. And my wife has been very feminine since then. Because now she's a mother, and that is what women are supposed to be, right? Because otherwise we wouldn't exist anymore. So that's not a social construct. That's just nature. And but if she were to go like become a hero and fight off baddies, then she couldn't do that, and she has to become more masculine to do this because that's a masculine role,
Mm.
right? And now, obviously, you can debate about roles, but I think they are given by evolution and nature itself. So there's really nothing to be debating about that here, other than that we're trying to make women more masculine and boys more feminine, and all this does is decrease polarity between the genders, and therefore, like, make it all a bland mess. and I really don't like that.
Absolutely. Yeah. It's
But it came really off topic there, to be
n-
honest.
no, that's okay. I mean,
Yeah, because your initial question was about a strong, what makes a strong woman,
yeah, it's.
and
I mean, I believe your answer completely contradicts what society says. I mean, I believe society
oh yeah,
says female characters, for example, in movies, aren't allowed to have any personality flaws. No, they have all got to always do the rational, correct, and morally good thing to do. You know.
yeah, and that's exactly the funny thing because women rarely do the rationally correct thing because they mostly act on emotions. Now, not all the time, obviously, and people give me shit if I say that, but that's actually a good thing that women aren't that way because it means they are more empathetic, which is very important with children, right? Because because as a man, if your child is screaming all the time, you sort of get fucking annoyed pretty quickly,
Mm,
obviously, right?
yeah.
And the mother has a much better way of coping with that because she has unlimited empathy for her child.
Mm,
So from nature, you're given the role here. And I don't think, actually, I am gonna say it. I don't think women can make the same rational decisions as men. And obviously, that's you could never say that in like mainstream media.
no, of course.
But
Especially not on YouTube. So say goodbye to our channel
yeah,
right now.
no, but I think that's an important part
Yeah.
because gender is not a social construct. The brains from men and women are different. That doesn't mean that women are stupid. It just
Mm,
means they are different than
yeah.
men. We act differently than they do. Um, this is also why we like different things, right? Because women usually like to be around people or interact with people, and men are usually more interested in gadgets
Mm,
and things. Now, not obviously not to 100%. There are overlaps, of course, but on average, this is how it goes. So
absolutely.
there are steadfast differences which cannot be eradicated through a tweet or something, right?
Mm,
So this notion that is pushed in the media, like in movies, for example, with these flawless women which make rational decisions all the time and lead men as well, which is also quite funny. And this is really this tells women and well, young women and young boys that this is how they should be acting with each other or the other gender. And then
mm,
they, if they go into the real world and they do that, try it like that, they notice it doesn't work
yeah.
at all. This is where you have the sexless marriages and the women who try to climb corporate ladders, even though they have a lot of bonuses right now and still don't end up with the same pay as a man.
Hmm.
And it's, I mean, you just need to look at real life and the evidence that is there to understand how reality really works instead of going even deeper into your ideology, which isn't based in reality at all.
Yeah, you were talking about what is actually the greatest quality of a woman, and I was reminded of another movie again. I've seen this movie so many times. My name should be on the credits. Of course, I'm talking about Aliens.
Oh,
Have you
yeah.
seen it? The James Cameron one. I think it's the second one. And I always come back to this movie for a specific reason. This movie, despite being science fiction, obviously, is to a degree realistic. Um, the character of Ellen Ripley, the protagonist, she is something I would absolutely call a strong female character, because first she's among real men, like corporal marines. This is what
Hmm.
this is what really makes her stand out, and in a real natural way. She's not like forcing any agenda. It's very natural, and it wouldn't work out if the men in this movie would be bumbling idiots. But the men in this movie are really yeah, tough. And Ellen Ripley was like a normal person caught up in a terrible situation, and she's making the best of it. A strong character who just happens to be a female, not quite the other way around. But there is a beauty in her gender, actually. And because I totally believe a woman would behave and act this way. I believe genuinely a woman is capable of anything if her child is in danger. And
Oh, yeah.
there's such a beauty in it, and a ruthlessness as well. And it is
Oh, yes,
something that
absolutely.
I believe it's something that we men will never understand, and that's totally okay. And
Oh, yeah, we cannot.
yeah, and those movies exemplify that so beautifully. I always feel a little bit more human after watching movies like this. I mean, it's obviously like horror and action and like a thriller, but I always feel so much more human after Aliens. I believe this is a good thing.
Do you get the same feeling from Guardians of the Galaxy?
Totally, man. I always cry.
No, I mean, yeah, but that's a very great point you made there. Because the funny thing is, people think if a woman acts in what we as misogynists thinks a woman should be act like, or the
Yeah.
way she should be act, like traditional femininity, then that means she has no power and no way to get what she wants. That is absolutely not the case.
Right.
A woman totally in her feminine, like, call it prime, I don't know, feminine
Yeah.
feeling, she can totally get what she wants. She just has different ways than a man. But the issue is, if you look at Ray, for example, again, I just had this thought. If you were to exchange her for a male character, you could easily do that, right? You just make her Roy now instead of Ray, and she's a man.
Yeah.
And I mean, the character is obviously bland, but you don't have to change much, right? And if you were to change a real feminine character, you would need to change like everything about her. If
Right.
you were to
Yeah.
make her a man-
Aliens
make her-
wouldn't work with a man.
Exactly. Yeah, and that's my
Yeah.
point. Because there's again, or have been tried in these movies like Star Wars, to make this exchangeable completely. That there are no like gender specific traits. So you could really exchange this character easily, but that is just not what happens in real life. You cannot just exchange a male or a female for the other gender, because they would have to be completely different in everything they do. And that's really something I hate there. But yes, back to
It's
the
a
aliens character. Yeah, sorry?
it's a tragedy, because obviously on the thumbnail of this video, I mean the title is "Strong Women" and the thumbnail says why we love them, and it is really the fact. I mean, as for me personally, that actually my favorite movies happen to be about women. And I mean, I'm not putting like female characters on the pedestal. I personally like strong females in movies, and I also like to write about girls more than about boys. I don't know why. I'm sure that's some weird Freudian psycho stuff behind that. I don't even want to know. But to really show like just what you said, that strong characters are also not bound by gender. That actually contradicts what you say, but I think it's a different point. I just remembered Forrest Gump, which is a good example,
Yes.
which is a fucking beautiful movie, but it's nothing but a sweet fairy tale.
Yeah.
This movie teaches you like zero about real life. Yeah, you can reach anything, even with an IQ of a little child. But yeah, that's like the difference. It doesn't matter if yeah, I believe even it was Tate. I believe it was him who tweeted very intelligently about the feather in the beginning. The movie kicks off with you see like 1 minute, just a feather of a chick or of a dove like, flying around in the air, and this is how this foreshadows his life. He's like a passive protagonist, and
Yes.
life just blows him in whatever direction it wants to. It's a beautiful movie, but nothing but a sweet fairy tale, and it's also a little bit like you have a passive protagonist like him, and I would 100% prefer an active female protagonist.
Yes, I think there should be. I think both genders really like active protagonists in movies, and but really with their specific traits, like a masculine man and a feminine woman, and they both have their ways to get what they want. I mean, someone could really make a movie where both tried, like, they have some goal they want to achieve, and they go about it with different methods, obviously, because that's how men and women operate. And there's really nothing. There's no way. one of the ways better or worse. It's really just how they're different,
Yeah.
right? But it's funny you should mention Tate again here because I just also had a thought about him because people always give him like shit for how many women he has
Mm.
or has had rather, and but obviously he understands them, right?
Yeah.
And what I've noticed mostly with him and his brother, which is the huge difference to the red pill, to get back to this
Mm.
again, they love women for what they are, like the traditional feminine woman. And because a lot of red pill guys usually, as we talked about, end up hating women
Right.
for who they are, really, even if they are traditionally feminine. But really, I love women, and the Tates do it as well. And I think every man should because they are fun to be around with, right?
Mm-hmm.
And if you go into interactions with them with that mindset, that they are just a completely different human than you are, and you can just enjoy their energy and what they do, and then you are much better off than thinking about that every one of them is out to get you, and that they all have some secret agenda or something trying to put you down. Because that's really not, that's something I mentioned in my books as well. That's not what women want either. It's what society is trying to put onto them. Because no woman wants a weak man.
Mm-hmm.
I think last time you said, oh God, I don't remember it correctly, but you said a woman much rather shares a man with another woman
Yeah.
than
Yeah.
settling for a guy who sits on self-help Zoom calls.
Yeah. I mean, imagine you're like sitting in your room, and I would feel like exploited, you know, like your woman comes into your room and she just sees you
Yes.
watching a Zoom call with men and like, oh yeah, my sexual market value is gonna peak in 5 years. And like, what the hell are you watching, man?
It's like being caught. It's like caught being masturbating, pretty much. It's very
Yes,
embarrassing.
I would. Yeah, yeah, absolutely.
So yeah. Anyway, the point I was making here is that the women don't want this either. What they funny. Well, they say they enjoy it because they cheer in these Marvel movies when the female heroes are on there
Mm.
because they have been indoctrinated with that. They have been told for years that this is what a strong woman is. But deep down, they know exactly that this isn't what they want to be, what to do. And it's exactly the same with men. If they try to be like the feminine cool guy who is totally fine with his girlfriend cheating
Mm.
as long as she comes home to him, right? This kind of bullshit. That's what they've been told for decades. But deep down in their soul, both genders know exactly they don't want that. They want the traditional way because that is what makes you feel good. Because then you are in tune with your nature. And yeah, well, I guess nature has been eradicated from current society very heavily. Um, that is also why so many people are miserable because they live so far from what makes them human.
Mm.
And that is the exact issue because deep down you are still human, right? So why not live like that?
Yeah, get busy, make Christmas dinner for your wife's boyfriend this year, or listen to some Red Smoke. Yeah, which
Yes.
I was wondering, you said you haven't like watched Mad Men completely, like from start to finish, but there are. I mean, every character in Mad Men is exceptionally well written. There's so much
Yes.
thought put into it, but I was thinking about before we did the stream. I was thinking about for once Joan, and also for I was thinking about Peggy. You know,
Yes.
those are like two characters. I would say they're strong females because they're very strong and very well written. They're like the early archetypes of the feminism, right?
Yes.
And yeah, what is like your take on them? I mean, they're completely different. They have like different takes on how to achieve something. I mean, Joan obviously is the she knows she looks good and she uses her looks, and Peggy is like the yeah, what we just said, like someone who dresses up in male clothes, and yeah, she loses her femininity. I also don't find her like attractive. Same with actually same with Ellen Ripley from Aliens. I don't find her like attractive. I'm not looking at her and saying, it's more like it's a person or a character I would respect, but there's nothing feminine about her, and it contradicts to Joan, to the character of Joan Holloway, I think, or Holloway, I don't know. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, this pretty much pictures quite well the different methods women have, because Joan really just uses her femininity and her assets to get from men what she wants, which is what women have been doing for millennia, really. That's just one way to get what you want. to to use your femininity and your female body and your assets, if we want to call it that, to either lure men in or just to make them a bit more open about what you have to say. And there's really nothing like deceiving about that or bad. I don't think so. It's just a way to get what you want.
Yeah.
Pretty much how men use their ways to get what they want. Because in the end, this was what I always say, everyone is out for themselves, right? In the end, everyone has to look after himself.
Right.
Even though if you help people, of course, but you have to look after yourself first. You have to set yourself up. So everyone is out for themselves in the basic routine, right?
Yes.
So obviously she just tries to use her. Yeah, everyone is just using the cards they were dealt, right? And she has these cards that she looks good and she knows how to use her femininity, which is what women, I think, pretty much know naturally, unless they are indoctrinated differently, of course. But every woman should really know how to get from a man what she wants. She might just not feel like this is the right way, but that's a different topic. And the other method, obviously, is Peggy, then, which is the traditional feminist,
Right.
a feminist, if you want to call it like that, which just uses masculine traits to get what she wants, which in turn obviously makes her more masculine. Because, well, she's using masculine traits. Just like if you were to give into your emotions all the time and try to be like following other men or other people, then you are obviously using feminine traits as a man, and
Right.
that makes you more feminine. I mean, it's not really that difficult, is it? It's not rocket science.
I just remembered a topic I wanted to talk to you. I wanted to talk to you about this, and I just remembered it, and I think that it fits pretty well. I believe you have even tweeted about it the other day. I'm talking, of course, about the Netflix series The Queen's Gambit, and
yes.
why. What's wrong with that?
Well, that's gonna get me in trouble again. But
We are already in trouble. That doesn't matter.
Yes.
Let's go down with a bang.
Yeah, the funny thing is, the Queen's Gambit is another like show that teaches women that they can do everything a man can, which I'm sorry is absolutely not the case, because in this very specific theme with chess, there has never been in the history of mankind and the many hundred years chess existed, there has never been a female grandmaster in chess.
Right.
Never. There's no woman who even came close to the level of chess this Beth or whatever she's called plays in the Queen's Gambit. And of course it's art, if you want to call it, or fiction or whatever, and there's just discovering different methods to make shows or whatever. But the issue is that there's also, especially in current society, this is an issue because there's this notion behind that women can do everything they want. Not what they want, they can do everything a man can. And I'm sorry, but that's just not the case. Just like man cannot do everything a woman can.
Right.
For example, I cannot get pregnant, right? Even though there has been movies about that as well.
Oh,
I
yeah.
know. Yeah, that was anyway. But that's just not the case, right? And it's not really IQ. I don't think chess is really built on IQ, really. It's just strategic thinking and planning ahead and all of these things, which are just more masculine traits. Of course, women can do that, but not to the extent a man can do. I'm going to say it, yes. I made this definite statement right there. And This is very important in chess. Personally, I play a lot of chess. I like this game, and seeing this show was really like another feminist push. I think really to put this notion into women's head that they can do everything a man can, and yeah, that's really just not the case. And with this show, this gonna set up a lot of women again for failure when the cold and harsh reality hits them that they cannot do the same things men can, and vice versa, obviously. But that's never talked about either.
Would you be able to, if the, I don't know, I haven't seen it. I just know the ratings are insane high for the Queen's Gambit. I might check it out just because I'm curious. Would you be able to enjoy a series like that? I mean, I like what you said in the last stream, and I might just paraphrasing here. I believe I have asked you about whether you still enjoy the same content you used to enjoy as a kid, and you said, I believe, you look for movies with with traditional masculine role models, masculine values, and like with truth, quite frankly. And I believe you mentioned like Braveheart and The Rock, etc.
Yes.
Would you be able to enjoy the Queen's Gambit if the writing was good, or if the series had a certain quality? Or would you say, no, it doesn't matter how good it is, I can't stand it?
Well, I would probably still enjoy it to some degree, but there would always be this nagging voice in my head.
Right.
That is just not. You see, if we were living in a different society where all of these feminist things weren't really an issue, then, funnily enough, I would be totally fine with the show, even if it would be like only half well written, and because then it's just really for me, as I said before, a discovery into something new, which is what art is, right? Just trying something different, and that would be totally fine. But in the current society, that's just because I know it has this impact on women
Right.
and men, obviously, and that's always going to be in my head while watching it. I would be thinking, you see, this scene again is going to tell women this and that, and it's going to fuck up their life at some point, and then etc. And no matter how well it is written, it will always be in the back of my mind. And funnily enough, a lot of people said it's very well written. Even I saw some bigger masculine accounts on Twitter who said it's a good show.
Yeah, I heard the writing was good. I read good reviews from it. That's why I'm still interested in. But
yeah, I might watch it. I mean, I looked a little bit into it. I think the first episode and a few scenes from the others. Yeah, it's not bad. Obviously, it's quite well written, I guess. You could say that, but yeah, still. I mean, I guess they immediately, intentionally chose a female lead because it works very well these days, right? And makes money.
Yeah, I would say I could probably still enjoy movies with just good writing. Or let's put it this way. I believe I could forgive a movie for ignoring an appropriate representation of man if it is really intelligently written. Because I have value for something like this. It inspires me, just the good writing itself. However, till this day, I have not found such stuff, to be honest. At least not in Hollywood or like Western storytelling.
Yeah, the issue again here is, sorry for the
No, that's okay.
But with the Queen's Gambit again is, I mean, it's the same thing again. She really just is very good at chess. That's how this is set up. I don't know, she's just fantastic at it. Maybe there is some backstory behind that, how she got so good, but I think if I saw it right, she's very young in the first episodes. There wasn't really much to learn with chess there, and it's this notion again that because she's a woman, she's just perfect again, and she just has this talent of being good at chess, and that's it. Not taking into account that any grandmaster in chess always obviously might have some sort of talent, but they got so good through hours and hours of playing this game. And I mean, obviously she started young, so there's a similar thing for her, but still, again this notion that she's just perfect because she's a woman, and that's yeah.
I don't know why this is. I mean, no idea. Do they think this will get more little girls to like chess? I don't know. I mean, this might sound really really offensive and really harsh, but I think there's a difference between being inspired by a movie and believing that, for example, Thor, the king of Asgard, is your dad. You know, like I know this is like really controversial and stuff, but I don't watch a Superman movie and I think, okay, I can jump out of my window and fly now. So yeah, I mean, it's obviously fiction. The Queen's Gambit. It's not based on a real story.
Yes.
So it might be a sweet story. It might be well written, but there's like, what's the value in it? If it's I mean, it's purely fiction.
Yeah, as I said before, it's in a different setup, in a different society we live in. That would be totally fine. It's just again something different to try, but you just know in the current society that there is an agenda behind that. You just know it, and I don't even think
I
it's
think it
aimed at
shows.
little girls.
I think it shows actually in the writing. You know, like for example,
yes.
I would like to call back to Aliens, for example, Aliens or like Terminator. I cannot sense like any agenda in those movies.
Yeah,
This is like like such a natural way the characters behave, and it's also not that you have written your main character around protagonists, you know, around other people that are weak, to make your protagonist look strong. And also,
yes, exactly.
yeah, and that's the thing. Uh, it's I really like to say stuff like that because I would like to stay objective, but in that case I have to be subjective because I don't have a real argument. But I can. It's something I can feel. It's something I can sense when I'm when I'm watching a series or watching a movie, and you know, you can just sense there's a certain agenda. Like for example, again with Star Wars, I don't want to come back to this over and over again, but that's really like watching the Force Awakens, the episode 7, and there's like such a clear agenda behind it. You know, like you have the scenes with Rey. The other guy always tries to rescue her, like take her hand. It's like, oh, stop taking my hand. You know, it's like such an agenda. I can look for
Yes.
myself. Yeah, that's, oh man, come on.
Yeah, I mean, with Star Wars, it's very obvious in itself because the first 6 movies are just completely different than the last 3, and you notice this shift very, very directly. I think not just because now the lead is obviously female all of a sudden, which is totally fine, as we said before, but these remarks she makes or other females make in the movies, as you just said, don't take my hand and all of that, the I don't need a man meme. And see, yeah, that's really how I feel if a woman says something like that. Just this sigh of, oh god,
Yeah.
you know, because it's not like I have to help you or something. It's because I want to, and I feel like, why not, right? What's really bad about this? And if you immediately make this ideology thing about that, and that you don't need a man, and you're pretty much offended because I try to hold the door for you. And I'm like, seriously,
Yeah.
are we gonna go down this route now? You really have nothing else to do, and yeah,
Yeah.
that's really what these movies portray, though.
Yeah, and again, I could ask the same question as for Queen's Gambit. Will this get more little girls to like Star Wars? I don't know. It's,
Yeah, that's also the funny thing, you know, because yeah, that's a completely different topic, but still, since they're always trying to make, I don't know, little kids genderless now or something like that, and that's so much bullshit. I mean, many young boys play with puppets or with Barbie or something, I don't know, whatever it is, and some young girls play with cars and watch Star Wars. That doesn't mean that they become masculine in the end or feminine, whatever it is. It just means they were just enjoying things as a kid, and putting these that are the real social constructs here, putting these made up genders or genderless things or whatever onto little kids is so bad. And yeah, I don't know. that's a whole different topic. But to get back to the Queen's Gambit, I don't actually think this is aimed at little girls, trying to make them like chess or Star Wars. I think it's really just to give the grown-up girls another reason to be, yeah, pretty annoying,
Empowerment.
to be
Yeah.
honest.
Yeah. Look, you just said something, and I believe some people who are listening might think we are like exaggerating with this whole topic of movies and Hollywood in general.
Mm,
But I have to say, like, this is again very personal, but I've been more influenced by movies than school or something like that.
absolutely. Oh yes.
Look, I am someone who lives in reality and someone who would choose the red pill if given the choice. But I would also say reality is for people who don't have imagination. That's absolutely something I also endorse. And, I used to watch movies in the evening, and the next morning I would go to school, and I was looking around me and thinking, and I was always seeing things clearer. Catharsis is something beautiful. Yeah.
Oh
And,
yes, absolutely. I think, yeah.
yeah, no, I'm finished.
No, it's definitely people underestimate this, but um, like art, which is really what movies are,
Mm.
art shapes the culture
Hmm.
much more than people think. Like much, much more. Stories are what drives people, right? What
Mm.
gets them to do something, what gets them to think. And if you think, then you restructure and you replan your life or yourself because you actually thought about things and you came to a realization that something might not be what it seemed to be. And then you do something different. So through this art and this thinking you were engaged in, you changed society to a degree. So I'm gonna go ahead and say that the art and the movies we see these days shape the people much, much more than you would think, or like most
Hmm.
people think. This is why it's so important, or this is why I am exaggerating on these things, on these movies,
Yeah.
that they because they have a huge influence in on people, and especially young boys and girls, how they grow up and what they think and how they will interact with the world.
Mm.
Because as you said, I am exactly the same. I have learned much more life lessons and like things I did with my life from watching movies
Hmm.
uh, than any like celebrity or any
Yeah.
teacher or whatever, because it was built in the story, and these stories they enliven your soul, and that is what gets you forward to change something. And that's why it's so important to fight this with these stupid notions they put in these new movies,
Right.
because that really does shape the future society, and I don't like where this is going at all.
Mm. It might sound very cheesy, but it is a uniquely human thing to make art. You take a piece of yourself and you do everything you can to show it to the rest of the world. You have
Oh
you
yeah.
have you have written books yourself. I think you understand, and I believe there was once a time, and it wasn't that long ago. I would still say like in the '90s or maybe the early 2000s. That's actually where Hollywood peaked.
Oh
And,
yeah.
and there was a time where to make something good you had to recognize what you as an artist lack. And you either used your strengths to make up for it, or you confronted that weakness and become a stronger person. Art is what makes us into who we are. From
Oh yeah.
it sounds so cheesy. It sounds so like, but from thousands of years ago, where we learned to use tools, we literally expanded our horizons and we started to reach for the stars. I mean, we're going to Mars soon. It's crazy. And yeah, I believe we as humans, we all have the urge of creating something that will outlast our short lives. I don't know how this sounds, but it's the only possible solution to live forever. And there
Yes.
has been a change in recent years.
Oh yes. I have said this before. The that especially for man, this is really a big driving force
Mm,
to create something that surpasses your flesh on this planet.
yeah.
Might it be your name that just lives through what you did, or just like books that changed society, or movies, art, really, just in general. And yeah, the weird thing that people don't understand is if you like create something, not only yeah, man, I've told many men already to just create something. Not
Mm,
just consume all the time, which is what the society does. Just create something, whatever it is. It doesn't really matter. Just build something. And they all told me that after they started doing that, they felt much better. And it is because it's, as you said, a completely human thing to create things.
Right.
And to be it through art or just building, I don't know, houses or whatever, it doesn't really matter. Just building something. And this is really a very important thing because, as you said, not only have to do you or will you realize your own flaws while you create something, you will notice where you lack things. It's also kind of embarrassing to some degree because you really put your soul out there.
Yeah,
Like
you
if
make
I write,
yourself vulnerable.
yes,
Yeah.
exactly. When I put my books out, especially the first ones, which were obviously not as good as well written as the current ones, because you get better over time. Yeah, it's just natural. But at that point, I was really, yeah, very vulnerable because I have put my state of writing and my state of thinking out into the real world for people to judge, like intentionally. This is a great feeling, but also a frightening feeling in the beginning. But it's an important feeling
Right.
because it makes you realize that you are human, that you have flaws, which is what many people lack these days, this realization. And it helps you to see your own flaws and then you can fix them or like be better, become better at them. And that is very, very important. But many people these days, all they do is consume. And if you just consume, you never see what you're doing or where you're lacking, rather. And then you are the same old useless mess you always have been.
Right. Do,
And yeah.
do you share my feelings? I sometimes have the feeling that nowadays, like people in Hollywood, they I don't sense that they really put that much effort into it anymore. Like really, like take your heart out and put it on a piece of paper. I don't really feel that.
Yeah, I agree. But I don't know if it's because they are afraid of it. I think it's also because the studios tell them to. You know, if they try to do something special and they come up with, oh, the audiences won't
Yeah.
like that because X, Y, Z reason, then yeah, well, okay, we're not gonna do it. Or they don't get the funding to make the movie. And but it's something. I know you're a big fan of James Cameron, and he would
Yeah.
have gone
No.
on and just done it anyway, no matter the cost
Yeah.
and against all odds. And that's really something that's missing these days as well. Just some artists who just go out and do it anyway, you
I mean,
know?
he couldn't do a movie like Terminator in 2020. I
No,
forget
you
about
couldn't.
that. I mean, no studio would give him the money. I mean, they didn't give him much money back then. So it was basically a low budget movie, and even Aliens was like, I don't know, 10 million, which is not much for a movie.
Yes.
But nowadays, that's also a little bit something about art. Like take a chance, just like risk
Yeah.
something. And
Yeah.
I believe we briefly talked about this in the last stream. We're only doing like reboots and remakes and sequels
Mhm.
and prequels, like also with the Matrix. I mean, I know we both are so fucking excited for this fourth unnecessary movie that is coming out. Uh, yeah, low risk management actually.
Oh, yes,
That's
exactly.
this movie is probably not gonna flop. I believe there. I mean, the thing that really shocked me was the Lion King remake. I mean, it looked so shit in the trailers, and it made over $1 billion worldwide
Yes.
for a remake for a movie that already exists. I mean, it was literally copy paste, just with animation,
CGI,
and
yeah.
yeah, and it's yeah, but it's a safe bet. But
Yes.
that's also a little bit the fault of the consumers. You vote with your wallets, and if you pay, they're gonna keep on doing this stuff.
Yeah, I think most people are just so numbed to this already. All they want to see is like cool CGI effects,
Mm.
and they don't really care about depth, really. Um, that's also, yeah, another
That's
heavy
it.
topic
Yeah,
there.
it's also immaturity.
Oh,
Uh,
yes.
I saw a video the other day, and because you just can't hide from it. There's this Mandalorian series about Star Wars,
Oh,
or
yeah.
this spin-off series, And there was a, by the way, spoilers, guys. If anyone cares about this, just skip to a random time code and hope for the best. There was a scene at the end of the last episode, like they CGI'd Luke Skywalker again, right? When with this, and people having a fucking meltdown on the internet. They're like crying over this, like, oh my god, they saved my childhood and stuff. And yeah, just like okay, I was both surprised and also like unsurprised about that.
Yeah. You know what that is? I think that is because people are just, they cannot let go, because it would involve emotions. Because Luke Skywalker, the character, is dead, right? And if it's been part of your childhood, which he has been part of my childhood as well, then you have to let go. And that means one of your like great heroes is now not around anymore. But that means you have to work through that emotion. I mean, it's obviously a movie character, so it shouldn't be that big of an emotion. But yeah, whatever.
They were like reacting as if they have seen a friend they haven't seen in 30 years.
Yes.
Well, we fought together in Vietnam, right? So, oh my god, I'm seeing it again. Like, come on, it's a fictional character. It wasn't actually the real Luke. It was a fucking CGI Luke. So they're actually freaking out over a CGI character. I mean, we talked about like people are weird when it comes to the Matrix, but people are weird when it comes to Star Wars.
Oh yes.
What do you think that is?
Yeah, but this very point we just had is because they cannot let go of this person. That's why they bring him back all the time. The Luke Skywalker character, because people just cannot let go of it. Or another reason might be because the studios just can't come up with something new, another cool character you like. Whatever. Yeah, I don't know why people are so weird about Star Wars. I mean, it's really just it has great lessons, obviously, but that's not really what people are going for these days. All they go for is the characters they already know, even though they're dead, and then the lightsabers and the Force and some wokeism, and then they're good.
Yeah, I mean, but to make yourself emotionally so dependent on a fictional character, that's really, really weird, and that's something that has changed in the past. I mean, I would say, and I think even George Lucas said that Star Wars originally was intended for like 12-year-old boys. But I remember I was in the cinema when the episode 7 came out, right? There was this huge thing and everybody went there, and they were like just grown-ups. There was there weren't any children. They're like just grown-ups. And this is this huge age of immaturity, I believe. Yeah, it's
I think that's totally. If you look at it, that's a general issue. That most people these days really are just very, very immature. I remember this video. I don't know. It was some political issue on Twitter. Sometimes you come across these videos that just
you can't hide.
Yeah, and there was this guy. He was over 20, definitely. I don't know how late, maybe 22 or something, 23. I don't know. And I don't know what he didn't like, something about Trump, I don't know. And he really just was having a tantrum on this video. He was jumping around saying, no, and I don't like that and all of this. And I was thinking, this is the mental age of a 5-year-old.
Yes.
In a 23-year-old body.
Yes.
And I thought, how the hell did this guy even survive until 23 years old? You see, in olden days of human existence, this guy would have been dead already. Because you cannot change, you cannot like fight your life and survive in the brutal nature if you throw tantrums. That just doesn't do anything, right?
Yeah.
You have to face your adversity and your issues. But you see this so much these days, especially in men, which are literally like crying over a movie trailer, or
exactly.
or being mad at the women because they don't put out or something. And I'm like, dude, there are much bigger issues in life than that.
Yeah, but I have the feeling that the more you emote, the more emotions you show. I don't know. Like, of course, there's this whole virtue signaling culture we have nowadays, but I feel like you know, you just said this. I also saw a video from a guy who cried at the trailer to episode 9. Like, I was thinking,
Yes,
what the hell?
I think I know the video.
Yeah. This is. Oh my god, it's actually disturbing. This is
Yes, it
actually
is.
disturbing. This guy comes to me like a school shooter or
Oh
something. Like
yes.
he would
Oh
definitely
yes.
do that.
I mean, he
Uh,
looks happy, but I don't think he is underneath.
yeah, I mean, I don't know. It's just it's really disturbing, and yeah, I believe you nowadays. It's better to the more emotions you show, the better. You know, there's also this meme like on social media for girls, how to get attention. Like if it doesn't work out with your body, like showing off your body, cry. It
Yeah.
always helps. Like if you cry over anything on social media, you get the attention, and that's a trend I really don't like, and it's getting more and more.
Yeah, as I said before, I don't know if I mentioned it last episode, but I personally think that social media was a net negative to mankind
Hmm.
in general.
Yeah.
I really think it made things worse for humans, and especially mostly because it just focuses, or like, to put it differently, it amplifies negativity
Hmm.
or like negative traits because you're much more likely to get engagement on your social media if you post something that is triggering or emotionally loaded or something. And that's really what people are for, right? This engagement and the dopamine rush from it.
Hmm.
And that's in itself, obviously, it's like a vicious cycle. It will engage this notion that people have to become more emotional, and especially women, and they have these two options, like either showing asses
Yeah.
or showing tears. And again, this is a very, very one-dimensional view on women as well. But they are told they should do this, and it. I mean, obviously, if you take pictures that are like revealing and you get a ton of engagement from other men, this attention, you'll
Hmm.
always obviously start to think, oh yeah, that's how this works, right? And but then you will at some point notice that this doesn't get you much of what you want,
Hmm.
and then you are confused because you were told differently, and that's exactly what happens with men who are told they should do everything a woman tells them and not look at her actions instead of her words
Yeah.
and things like that, and then they end up resentful and they cry over movie trailers, and yeah, I don't know.
But I believe men nowadays get more inspired by women.
Oh yes.
Like I cannot imagine like let's pick a good movie from the 50s or 60s. Like for example, To Catch a Thief. It was like
Oh
some
yes.
old Hitchcock movies, or some Marlon Brando movies, or Humphrey Bogart. Um, he wouldn't cry over a Star Wars trailer, right?
Oh
it's
god.
it's I mean, back in the days, men were obviously inspired by characters like these. You know, also talking Godfather and stuff,
Oh
and then
yes.
came Predator and all this stuff. I'm a manly man, and in the next day, the boys were out playing on the playground, and they were pretending to be Arnold Schwarzenegger, and nowadays you have like Tom Holland, Spider-Man, who is, I would say, might be offensive, but very feminine
Oh yes,
man. You
absolutely.
know, there's like nothing masculine about him, and that's a little bit what I mean. You get nowadays you get inspired by people like this. Like he cries and he breaks down in this movies, showing really weakness, and saying, "Okay, I'm emoting with that now." Hmm.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's weird, especially in the Spider-Man, because obviously he is a young kid,
Mm.
and also in the comics as well. But still, and I mean, of course, he's not like the great 50-year-old masculine guy who has seen some shit. Of course not. But
Mm.
still, there's a difference between a boy growing up to becoming a man or a boy growing up to becoming a crybaby. And that's really what the new Spider-Man is displaying there, I think. Of course, he's powerful and he's fighting, and doing all these things, but how he interacts with people and what he does with himself, always making jokes of himself, obviously, and these self-deprecating jokes all the time. I think that's just not something you should do a lot as a man. I mean, Terminator has some self-deprecating jokes, of course. Sometimes it's fine,
Yeah.
but if it's all you do all the time, then you just display this notion of yourself that you are a joke, right? If everything about you is a joke, then you are a joke, and that's what I got from these new Spider-Man movies, which I didn't like because, yeah, I think if you make fun of yourself all the time, that's not really gonna help your case in any way.
What is your take on just like to talk about it briefly? What is your take on the Tobey Maguire Spider-Man movies? Have you seen them?
Oh yes, I did. All
So-
three of them.
So what is your take? Because I'm split on them. I actually like them quite a lot, actually.
Yeah, same. It's weird because I cannot really pin down why. It's quite difficult for me.
I don't know. Those are not just good. I had this experience when I was in the cinema. It was, I believe, the first time I went into the cinema without my parents. It was 2004, and I was 10 or 11. I was there with a friend, and I still remember it till this day. When the movie was finished and the credits roll, behind me there was a father with his son, and the father said to the son, "Son, this was not just a good Spider-Man movie. This was a good movie."
Oh, nice.
And it was the second Spider-Man movie, the one with Doc Ock, which is
Oh,
really a fantastic movie.
Oh, it
And
is.
I'm really split on that now because I still like them. There are things. I mean, there's so many great values in this movie, right?
Oh yes, absolutely. I mean, yeah, well, Spider-Man has coined this very famous quote: "With great power comes great responsibility." Right? Everyone knows that quote, and it's just something, or one of these quotes, which I really liked, and the general theme behind it. Because if you think about it, Spider-Man, the first one is actually quite heavy because he pretty much starts with he being robbed and losing his uncle. Well, it's not right in the beginning, but pretty soon in the movie, and pretty early in the movie rather. And so it's already a heavy topic, and then he has to overcome his grief and he has to learn how to control his power, which is where we come back again to this manly thing, to learn how to control your emotions, your power, and your talent, and all of that,
Right.
and make good use of it. That is what I really liked about the Spider-Man movies.
Yeah, and of
Which-
course, yeah, and we have to talk briefly about tone. I mean, those movies have humor, and those movies have like serious moments, but it's the balance that makes the
Exactly.
magic. And I think, I believe that's because of the director, of course, of Sam Raimi, who is a brilliant director, really. But nowadays, like when I look at nowadays Marvel movies, it's just like they don't really get the tone right. I mean, they don't know if they want to be a serious superhero movie or
Yes.
like like make some pop culture references, you know.
Yeah, I think that's because in modern Marvel movies they always use the so-called Bathos method. That's something I think comes from the ancient Greeks or something when they were doing theater. It just means you build up something with tension and emotion, and then you end up with a joke. You ended up with a joke.
Yeah.
So that's pretty much the scene you always see. For example, with was it Doctor Strange? Yes, when he first puts on his coat, right? When he first like becomes the hero, the real hero, when he accepts who he is, that he is now Doctor Strange, he has these powers and all of that, and then he puts on the coat, which makes him fly, and then this coat, because it lifts or something, I don't know, goes over his face and makes fun of his beard or something. So all the tension that was built up to him becoming the hero was gone with a joke. And in Spider-Man, for example, they didn't do it. When he first accepted who he is and the powers he has, then he really leaned into that he is now the hero. And he is now the protagonist of
Yeah.
the movie pretty much, and he now has to do something. And that's the difference to today's movies, because back then you actually accepted that you are a hero movie.
Right.
and not a comedy, right? And that there might be some jokes, of course, and there's a romance and there's some tragedy and all of that.
Mhm.
But in the end, you are a hero movie. That's what you
Right.
want to be. And these Marvel movies, they are never really sure about what they want to be, as you said correctly. They try to be hero movies, but then they cannot go the last step to actually be that, and then they make joke of themselves, and then it's all gone again. This whole tension is gone, and I really hated these scenes when they made that, when they did that, when they
I
build
feel
up all this tension, then it's gone in a second with a stupid joke, which is not even funny.
you feel.
Sorry, I was ranting there for a second.
No, that's okay. You feel kind of betrayed as
Oh
the
yeah,
as the audience, because you have these expectations and they are subverted for a quick joke, for a meaningless joke, and that contradicts with the lesson, which is a great lesson in the Spider-Man movies, that with great power comes great responsibility, and I believe people who make these movies, they have a great responsibility,
oh
but
yeah,
I think they don't get it, you know.
yeah. No, they don't. Maybe because I don't know if they are just indoctrinated themselves and they believe in all these things
Hmm.
they put in there, or they just have to do it because of the studios.
Yeah.
Otherwise, they wouldn't get money. And I guess at some point, if you really just, I guess some just tried for years to make their movies happen, and then they get some contracts from a huge studio, and they have to put in this and that, and then they think, yeah, well, all right, let's do it. Otherwise, I never get my movie made.
Yeah.
Maybe they just give up on that pure idea of their movie, and then you end up with this woke agenda in your actually quite good movie, but then it's pretty much ruined.
Yeah, I don't want to be the again. I think that's what makes Red Smoke really unique. I don't want to be the crybaby now who says, "Well, okay, it's Hollywood's fault, and we don't get movies like that anymore." I don't want to blame anyone else than yourself, But
Oh yeah,
I genuinely think that nowadays you don't, for some reason, you don't get the chance anymore. And that's, I don't know, it started like 10 or 12 years ago. I don't know when exactly, but yeah, you don't get the chances anymore. It's
yeah, I
tragedy.
agree. And yeah, that's why I am on this mission really to try to create more men, and why we do this podcast really
Mm,
to show these differences and nuances you see in society really, and how they are trying to like undermine our manliness and our great art
mm,
really we used to do, not anymore sadly, and well, not as much at least. And yeah, that's where I think is the where the Red Smoke is different, because we do these things. We actually try to bring this back and
mm.
create men who do such things instead of just sitting there in the self-help Zoom call and talking shit,
Yeah,
because we are actually out there trying to fix it. And that's a huge difference, because talk is always easy, but actions are expensive,
right.
and that's the difference here.
Yeah, I mean, there was once a time that made me fall in love with movies. Like, I remember watching Terminator 2, for example, the first time. I fell in love with this fucking awesome movie.
Which
And
was this again?
uh,
With the Terminatrix? Was it that
no,
one?
that was
That.
the third one, I believe.
Oh, I see.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. The second one was the one with the liquid metal guy, if you
Oh
can
yes.
recall it.
Oh
They
yes.
like, for example, like movies like this or like Aliens, and there was a time where those movies they inspired me, and I'm thinking if I was like born, let's say 10 years later or 15 years later, I don't think I would have fallen in love with movies as equally as back then, because if
Absolutely.
because if movies if like for example if there wasn't anything else than Netflix, like for example Netflix is the only source of movies, and Netflix clearly has an agenda. They don't
Okay.
produce like anything. If there was just something like Matrix, like Netflix, I don't think I would have fallen in love with art and movies. I,
I
I,
agree.
I wouldn't even say that movies are something I enjoy. I'd say, oh, okay, movie. A movie nowadays is just like, okay, let it play in the background while I cook something in the kitchen,
Yeah.
right?
I just had a thought there. Are there really people these days like um, who are just like 18 years old or something, and they really like are guys or girls who enjoy movies?
I don't
Is there
know,
something
man.
these days? Because I don't think so. Because there's really not, there aren't really movies out there these days. It's just the same thing over and over again. So you cannot really like enjoy the art in there. It's just, as you said, something that runs in the background to, yeah, to fill the void in your soul with
Yeah,
some noise.
yeah. That's the tragedy. Because
Oh yeah.
I'm a huge fan of cinema, but I believe I don't want to sound too passive or too like hopeless, but I think eventually cinema is going to face the same fate as the opera
Oh
or the
yes.
theater. I mean, it's a dying art form, especially with COVID and stuff. But I still believe in the magic. I still believe in the magic of a cinema, and a little bit more in a movie than just like a quick jump scare or a quick joke. Just like stimulate certain parts of your brain.
Yeah, maybe
I,
I'm just an old guy, but I really hope that this somehow comes back, that people spend more time together to watch things. You know,
right.
this the socializing factor there.
Mm, I agree.
Because I think that's, yeah, that's really something I'm missing over yeah, social media and all of that, and
Mm,
the direction we're heading with everything being online, and the social part of the social interaction part of humans really gets lost.
mm,
And that's a very, very important part of going to the movies. I mean, we talked about this before.
mm.
You know, getting your popcorn ready or your nachos or whatever it's called, and sitting there watching the even the trailers for the upcoming movies
Yeah.
is also quite interesting already, you know. And then the movie with the on the huge screen, the great sound system and all of that, it's just different, you know, if you
Mm.
are there with friends.
And those are things that inspire you, I believe. Not like sitting in school and listening to some teacher who has like no life experience or like no value to give you.
Yes,
Like that, those are things you're gonna remember later.
exactly. Yeah, it's
And
the experiences you gotta remember, not some person trying to put thoughts in your head. It's just
absolutely.
something you decided yourself you want to engage in,
Mm,
and that's because it sticks, right? That's
right.
something I have learned with my coaching and my teachings, because I only I really can only teach people who want to be taught.
Mm-hmm.
Um, if there is some sort of first iteration which made them realize, okay, there's something I want to learn, then they come to me. I cannot instill these thoughts in people if they are not open for it.
Yeah.
It just doesn't work because
Mm,
they deny it and they try to fight it all the time. And that's the same with the movies, because you go with the intention yourself to watch it, right?
mm.
It's not a teacher trying to tell you something. It's you want to know it, and that's because it sticks.
Yeah. That's. I really hope we would like end on a more hopeful note, but we kind of like went a little bit
It's
negative there.
Christmas.
Yeah, no, man, it's Christmas, and unfortunately we are already out of time. It's it's
Yes.
it's it's basically midnight in the morning.
Yeah.
I believe it's now midnight in Chicago.
Oh yes.
So already everybody in New York and like Chicago, Merry Christmas to you. Uh, New York City, I believe that's a spot that is most associated with Christmas, I mean, apart from the
Yeah.
North Pole, of course. But yeah, I mean, you've been there. You've been there in the winter or in the summer.
I actually was there in winter. Yes, I was in front of Rockefeller Center.
Oh, with the
Watching
big Christmas tree.
with the huge
Oh
Christmas
man,
tree. Yeah,
awesome.
that was really very American what I saw there.
Mm.
Everything was very big.
Sounds great. Sounds great. All right.
Yeah, really. Just one thing I wanted
Yeah,
to add,
sure, sure.
because personally, I might be completely wrong with that, but I think that I don't know if it will be happen next year or within the next 5 years, but I think we will go back to maybe not old cinema watching, but I think we will definitely come back to more socializing, because people are already noticing that it doesn't really fulfill them with their like online life they're living,
Mhm.
and not